What's going on, everybody? We are back with a brand new episode of the Daily Grossi. It is Tuesday, October 14th. It is Dolphins week. Tony, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm going to come right on and ask, is Kevin Stefanski coaching for his job on Sunday? True or false?
Well, I think it depends on how the game goes. I think an ugly scene in the first home game in over a month could sway the owner, but maybe not to make a move immediately, but it could be the point of no return. I don't necessarily think a loss would do it, like a well-played, good, just get beat. But if it's an ugly scene where the fans are angry and venting and the offense continues to be putrid, it could.
What do you think Coach Stefanski's conversations are right now with Jimmy Haslam? Like, Jimmy's probably asking the same questions we are, right? Why can't you score any points? What's up with the offense? Like, what do you think Kevin's answers are to that? Because he can't just say...
Don't skip a single second of this video. And if this story touches your heart, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments. Where are you watching from? Let's begin. You know a situation has gone nuclear when the biggest hater suddenly changes sides. That's what just happened in Cleveland. Tony Grossi, the same guy who's been ripping Shedeur Sanders from the moment his name was called on draft night, just went on live air and said Kevin Stefanski needs to start him. Not next month, not after the bye, next week, against the Miami Dolphins. And let me be clear here, this isn't some random podcast hot take. This isn't a fan on Twitter posting a "start the rookie" meme. This is Tony Grossi, the voice who spent months branding Shedeur as a project, a fifth-round flyer, a guy who wasn't ready, the man who rolled his eyes when fans said Shedeur could be the future. He just flipped. And when the harshest critic in the room flips, that's not noise, that's a siren. That's the moment you realize something massive is happening in Cleveland. Think about what this means. Grossi has never been kind to Shedeur. He's called him raw, unpolished, not ready for NFL speed. He's warned that throwing him into the fire could ruin him. And yet here we are, with Grossi practically begging Stefanski to pull the trigger. That tells me two things. First, the Gabriel experiment is officially dead. And second, the pressure on Kevin Stefanski has hit a point of no return. Because let's be honest, when the guy who's been telling you, don't touch that rookie, he's not ready, suddenly says, forget it, play him now. What he's really saying is, your current quarterback situation is unwatchable. Dillon Gabriel isn't just struggling, he's sinking the ship. And the entire media ecosystem, even its most stubborn voices, can't defend it anymore. Now here's why this is bigger than just Grossi. Fans already lost patience weeks ago. The stadium boos are louder. Social media is a war zone. Even the national media, guys like Ryan Clark and Colin Cowherd, are circling this story because they smell blood in the water. But when the local insiders, the people who've been protecting Stefanski, rationalizing every loss, giving him every excuse, when even they start flipping, that's when ownership starts paying attention. That's when Jimmy Haslam starts looking at his coach like, are you about to lose my locker room too? And don't think the players don't notice this. Players know exactly who gets criticized in the media. They hear Grossi's comments. They see the headlines. If a guy who never believed in Shedeur is suddenly saying play him, that shifts the whole locker room dynamic. It gives players permission to think, maybe he really is the spark we need. This is why Grossi's flip is monumental. It's not just about a rookie quarterback anymore. It's about a fan base on edge, an owner under pressure, and a head coach running out of lifelines. Grossi threw gasoline on a fire that was already spreading across Cleveland. And now the question isn't if Shedeur plays, it's when. And here's the scary part for Stefanski. When your harshest critic says start the rookie, you've officially run out of cover. There's nowhere left to hide. Because if Tony Grossi, the guy who called Shedeur Sanders a mistake, now believes he's the Browns' best option, then the narrative in Cleveland has flipped for good. And once that narrative flips, it never goes back. So buckle up, because this isn't just a quarterback debate anymore. This is a franchise-level earthquake. One win, one quarterback getting hammered every Sunday, One head coach clinging to a play sheet like it's a life raft. That's the Cleveland reality right now, and anyone pretending otherwise is lying to themselves. Watch the tape. The offensive line is leaking from every gap. Protection calls are late, and Dillon Gabriel is taking the kind of punishment that ends seasons, not just drives. 16 hits in one game, 58 dropbacks where the first red disappears and the pocket caves in like wet cardboard. You don't need advanced metrics to feel that kind of pain. You can hear it in the crowd when the stadium exhales the same tired groan after another sack, another hurry, another ball spiked into the turf to survive. And yeah, Kevin Stefanski is under the brightest, ugliest spotlight he's seen in Cleveland. The play calling isn't just conservative, it's predictable. Second and long runs into a brick wall, empty sets with a battered line. Shotgun on third and short like we haven't learned anything from the last 4 failed versions of the same script. It's not just bad luck, it's identity crisis football. It's a team that forgot who it wants to be and settled for try not to drown. This isn't a rough patch. This is a structural failure. One game won, one quarterback destroyed, one coach on the hot seat. You can chant it like a drum line because it's the rhythm of this season. Fans feel it, media smells it, and insiders are whispering the same word no one wants to say out loud. Crisis. Ownership is asking the only questions that matter. Why can't you score? Why can't you protect? Why can't you adjust? When the explanations sound like excuses, injuries, youth, timing, the temperature rises. That's when the building starts looking for a breaker switch. And here's where it gets real. The locker room isn't blind. Players know when the current plan is just a delaying tactic. They know when the message is tired. They know when the coach is coaching scared. You can feel belief drain from a sideline. It's body language, not quotes. It's the way linemen stare at the turf after another pressure. It's receivers clapping for the ball and then jogging back with that "my bad" nod because the root concept never gave them a chance. So why does Shedeur Sanders keep landing in every conversation that matters? Because in a season this broken, hope becomes currency. And the rookie, the so-called project, is suddenly the cleanest bill on the table. He's not just another name on a depth chart. He's the reset button fans can see with their own eyes. Quick trigger, pocket feel, get it out or get out. That's what this offense needs when the line is a turnstile and the run game can't keep anyone honest. Shedeur's greatest strength? He turns chaos into decisions. Not always perfect, but fast, purposeful, contagious. Starting him wouldn't magically fix the line, the route spacing, or the conservative script. But it would change the energy. It would tell the locker room, we're done waiting, we're done protecting feelings, we're done playing scared. It would tell the city, we heard you, and it would tell Miami, you're not getting the same Browns you saw on film. In a year where everything feels stale, Shedeur represents motion. He represents risk. He represents the one thing this franchise has lacked for weeks, a real plan to try something different. One win, one quarterback getting crushed, one coach out of lifelines. That's the breaking point. And when teams hit that wall, they either fold or they find the one player who refuses to. Up next, the doubt, the dangers, and why the critics swear this move could backfire, and why I'm not buying it. Every rookie quarterback carries a label. Some get tagged as the savior. Others get stamped as the future. But Shedeur Sanders? He's been carrying a tag heavier than most. 5th-round project. And let's be real, in this league, that label is almost a death sentence before you even throw a pass. Coaches see it. Media repeats it. Fans absorb it. 5th-round quarterbacks are supposed to sit, watch, maybe hold a clipboard until they fade out of the league. And that's exactly the narrative critics have been shoving on Shedeur since draft night. Too raw, too early, too flashy. A product of hype, not readiness. They called him Prime's son before they called him an NFL quarterback. They told us he'd crumble against NFL speed, that his mechanics wouldn't hold up, that he'd get swallowed whole the second he stepped behind a shaky line. And now, with the Browns collapsing, with Dillon Gabriel folding under pressure, With Kevin Stefanski's seat turning into fire, those same critics are doubling down. If you throw Shedeur in right now, you'll ruin him forever. I hear that argument. I get it. We've seen promising rookies get chewed up by bad situations. Think about David Carr in Houston, sacked into oblivion before he ever had a chance. Think about Sam Darnold, thrown into chaos, never given a stable foundation. Critics will tell you the same fate awaits Shedeur if Cleveland pulls the trigger too soon. No O-line, no rhythm, no support system. It's a fair concern. But here's the problem. That narrative is lazy. It's the same tired script they used at Jackson State. They said he couldn't shine in a smaller program. He dominated. They said he couldn't transition to Colorado, couldn't handle Power 5 competition. He proved he belonged. Every time they put a wall in front of him, Shedeur didn't just climb it, he broke it down and walked through. And that's why the ruin him forever talk doesn't sit right with me. Because Shedeur's entire career has been about thriving in chaos. He's already played behind one of the worst offensive lines in college football. He's already dealt with defenses blitzing him on every down because they knew Colorado couldn't protect him. He still found ways to make plays, still found ways to lead, still kept that poise that separates quarterbacks who panic from quarterbacks who endure. So yeah, there's risk in starting him now. But let's not pretend the alternative isn't worse. Another week of Gabriel? Another wasted game plan? Another message to the locker room that says, we're too scared to try? That's how you lose not just games, but belief. The weight of doubt has followed Shedeur every step of his journey. Draft night, training camp, preseason, and every single time, he's found a way to flip it back on the critics. The question isn't whether the doubt exists. The question is whether this is the moment he shatters it once again. And the tension, it's building. Because if Stefanski makes the call, we'll finally see if Shedeur can carry that label, turn it into fuel, and silence the voices that have been betting against him since day one. Sometimes the worst situations create the best opportunities. And if there's one quarterback in this league who's wired to walk straight into chaos and make it look like home, it's Shedeur Sanders. Look at his resume. This guy didn't grow up behind five-star offensive lines or stacked rosters that could carry him. He grew up battling through mismatches, hostile stadiums, and waves of doubt. At Jackson State, the critics said his numbers didn't matter. Small school, small competition. What did he do? He shredded defenses anyway. At Colorado, everyone swore the Power 5 stage would expose him. The O-line was a turnstile. He was sacked more than almost any other QB in college football. And he still put up video game numbers, still delivered highlight throws with pressure in his face, still showed poise when everything around him screamed panic. That's the Shedeur Sanders experience. Chaos doesn't crush him, it sharpens him. And tell me this, isn't that exactly what Cleveland needs right now? The Browns aren't offering stability. They aren't rolling out a clean pocket or a balanced run game. This isn't a plug-and-play situation for some safe, polished rookie. This is fire. This is collapse. This is trial by combat. And if you want someone who can survive that, you don't look for the golden boy first-rounder who's only thrived when conditions were perfect. You look for the kid who's been swimming upstream his entire career and still breaking records. What makes Shedeur different isn't just the arm talent. It's the it factor. Watch his body language. Watch his command in the huddle. Even when he's down, teammates lean in. Even when he's getting knocked around, he comes back with that same stare. Calm, unshaken, locked in. That's not common. You can't coach that. That's why I keep saying this so-called nightmare scenario for Cleveland might actually be the perfect proving ground for him. Because here's the truth. The NFL doesn't wait for perfect timing. You don't always get the clean debut moment, the soft schedule, the luxury of sitting behind a veteran. Sometimes you get thrown in when the storm is at its worst, and that's where you find out who belongs. Shedeur has already shown us he belongs in those moments. He's built for pressure, built for noise, built for doubt. He's a quarterback who thrives when everyone else is breaking. And if Stefanski hands him the keys right now, with the fire raging all around, we might just see the best version of Shedeur Sanders yet. Because this isn't about avoiding the chaos anymore. It's about owning it. And if history tells us anything, it's that Shedeur doesn't just survive chaos. He turns it into a stage. So the question isn't whether he can handle this moment. The question is, what happens to Cleveland if he rises in it? This is it. No more excuses. No more hiding behind the bye week. No more waiting for perfect timing that's never coming. Kevin Stefanski is cornered. The fans are restless. The owner wants answers. And the only card left on the table is Shedeur Sanders. Let's call it what it is. Desperation. But sometimes desperation forces clarity. If Stefanski wants to save his job, if the Browns want to save their season, if this franchise wants to save its future, there's only one move left. Play the kid. Right now. Look around. The building is crumbling. Gabriel can't survive another game like last week. The locker room is losing patience. And the fan base? They're done with excuses. They don't want promises. They don't want coach speak. They don't want after the bye. They want action. They want a spark. They want hope. And here's the wild part. Shedeur doesn't even have to be perfect to deliver that. He doesn't need to come in and light up the Dolphins like prime Peyton Manning. He just has to be competent. He just has to move the ball, get it out quick, put points on the board, and remind the locker room what belief feels like. In a season this ugly, that alone would feel like fireworks. But here's where I'll go even further, because I believe Shedeur is going to do more than just steady the ship. I believe he's going to shock the league. He's been preparing for this moment his entire life. While other rookies are overwhelmed by their first NFL snap, Shedeur has been sitting in film rooms since he was a kid, breaking down defenses with his dad. While other fifth-rounders are just happy to make a roster, Shedeur has been carrying himself like a starter since day one. And when you combine that preparation with this kind of opportunity, that's when legends are born. This is the kind of moment where history flips. Think about Tom Brady stepping in for Drew Bledsoe. Think about Russell Wilson stealing a job in Seattle when no one expected it. Think about Jalen Hurts turning bench guy into franchise quarterback. Those moments all started the same way, with doubt, with pressure, with people saying it's too early. And then they turned into the spark that changed everything. That's what I see coming for Shedeur Sanders. The Browns don't just need a quarterback, they need a savior. They need someone fearless enough to take the ball behind a broken line and still make plays. They need someone confident enough to look a losing streak in the eye and say, not today. They need someone who can turn boos into cheers, chaos into energy, despair into belief. And Shedeur has all of that. So here's my prediction. Stefanski will eventually have no choice. And when Shedeur steps onto that field for his first real start, he's not just going to keep Cleveland afloat. He's going to flip the script. He's going to prove the critics wrong. And he's going to remind this city what it feels like to believe in a quarterback again. Because the truth is simple. Shedeur Sanders isn't coming. He's already here. And the league better be ready, because the moment the Browns hand him the keys, everything changes.